excited to have you all here today and joining us for this fabulous event, this open house with Randolph-Brooks Federal Credit Union. My name is Misty Frazier. I'm an internship coordinator at the Texas A&M University here in San Antonio, and I'm so pleased to be on here with everyone and welcoming all of these fabulous university partners that we have today. So I want to recognize all of the great partners that are joining us and universities from around Texas, actually. So thank you for joining, everyone. I'd like to big shout out to the RBFCU team and everyone who's here today to make this happen. I wouldn't be able to do such great events without such an awesome team as you all. Our afternoon is filled with extraordinary professionals to talk to, fun, interactive, camera on sort of events that we're doing. You can use the chat. We'll have a chance for you to unmute and ask questions even. And it's really about learning. So we're going to have a panel with field-specific professionals. We're going to have a Q&A for you to ask them any questions you have. We'll learn about financial literacy, and we'll wrap it up with how to be the competitive candidate. So we'll also have a break and some polls. So it's going to be a great time today. So glad that you're joining. So it's my honor and my pleasure to introduce our main host for the event, the man with the plan, vision, connections to make this sort of thing happen. He is a big shot with the RBFCU family. He heads up something in HR, so to speak, I believe, whatnot. He'll tell you all about it. But it's my pleasure to introduce Mr. Glenn Ehrholz. Thank you.
Misty, thank you so much. And I'm just Glenn at RBFCU. We always talk about we're family, and many of us go by just our first name: Judy and Ashley and Jeff and Diana and Johnny and Chris, the CEO of RBFCU. So we are honored to, again, Misty, work with you and your wonderful team. I think you were going to run a poll question, if I'm not mistaken. So we're going to have poll questions throughout this. But we started this about a year ago when we put together an alliance of colleges and universities. So we're glad, but I would, if everybody takes a few minutes just to fill out the poll question. So where is the corporate headquarters for RBFCU located?
All right, we got some results coming in already. It's looking pretty good here. I think a lot of people might know the answer. Let's wait for a few more to answer. If you are an RBFCU staff, please answer too. Feel free. Hopefully you know. Okay, so most everyone has put in. So I'll go ahead and end the poll now, and let's see what we got.
Pretty good, right? Austin, Live Oak, Texas, Randolph-Brooks Air Force Base, Brooks City Base, San Antonio, Texas. Well, for those of you that responded, Live Oak, Texas, absolutely. And if you look behind me, this is our campus. I started more than 10 years ago with Randolph-Brooks, and the reason I thought it was important to bring this campus because I also had an opportunity to meet our next presenter. I met her almost 10 years ago, and the opportunity here at RBFCU changed my life. So with that, it's my honor and privilege to introduce the Senior Vice President of Human Resources, Ashley Engel.
Thank you so much, Glenn. I just want to thank everybody for being here and for giving us the opportunity to speak to you today and really to just learn from these amazing employees that we have that are here today. Thank you to our host, Texas A&M San Antonio, and all of the colleges and universities that are partnering with us in this endeavor. You know, our goal really is to help the community that we work in, that we serve in, and the students of that community. It's just a prime time for you to really get in and understand more about Randolph-Brooks and about your careers and the next potential steps that you could be taking. You know, whenever you are researching about employers in the area that you want to work in, it's important that you understand about what they stand for. And Randolph-Brooks is amazing. I have been here for just over 20 years now, and I did have the opportunity to interview Glenn whenever he came to the credit union just a little over 10 years ago, 10 and a half years.
Oh my goodness.
It was one of the best interviews that I've had an opportunity to participate in, because whenever you find somebody that's aligned with the same goals that you have and the organization has, it is a wonderful experience, and I hope that you all have the opportunity to have that same type of experience. So please today take an opportunity to ask questions of my colleagues that are here today to share with you about what they do. It's just, we're very thankful to be here.
Thank you, Ashley. And that's right. It was almost 10 years ago that we had an interview. And if I remember correctly, it was the shortest interview that you had, if I'm not mistaken, right? It was supposed to be a half an hour, and you'll figure this out as we go along. It took like 2.5 hours to complete it, if you will. Yeah, and it was the best interview I was ever in. So thank you so much for joining us and also giving us an opportunity to give back to the community. 20 years? 20 years. It's hard to believe it's 20 years. But Ashley started like so many of you started. She started as an employee with an organization that she joined, but also moved into an internship program that led her to her career with RBFCU. She's held, I think, every single position in the Human Resource Department to her current role and responsibility as the Senior Vice President. So Ashley, thank you so much for what you do for the credit union and giving us employees here an opportunity to give back to the community. And in fact, one of our partners today is also Texas State. Did I say that right? Texas State or Southwest Texas State University, that have always been a partner of us for many years. So thank you, and we appreciate your participation. As we move forward, as you work in the career services arena in San Antonio, and also I'm sure in other communities, you get to align yourself with individuals in a community that care. They care about, yes, their role and responsibility, but many times, like today that we've seen in this virtual environment, they care about others and their careers and their future. And one of those individuals that I've worked with for more than 20 years is a good friend, and a good friend to RBFCU, but more than that, he's a good friend to so many students that he's coached and counseled and guided to their careers. So it's my honor and privilege to introduce the moderator of our department panel, my good friend, Mr. Bruce Howard. Bruce?
Glenn, holy cow, thank you so much, man. I'm just gonna cut that piece of the recording out and put it on the wall. That's such not kind words. Thank you so much. Great to be with you, as always. You know, we're building our talent locally, and we're going to keep that talent locally. And thank you to you and Misty for the invitation to participate with this great event. So let's get started. Students, you've made a really wise decision in tuning in this afternoon. I mean, we have some gold for you. We have a panel of 5 of some of the most senior management team from Randolph Brooks Federal Credit Union to kind of think back and share some of their past experiences to really help you. I think it's important to use history to help us learn, to improve the future. We learn from the past, we study the past to improve where we're going in the future. And so today we've got 5 team members from Randolph Brooks Federal Credit Union that have joined us, and you're going to get to hear from them. I'll just quickly introduce them so you know who's going to be on our panel. We've got Mr. Jeff Peckham. He is the Vice President of Human Resources. We have Ms. Judy Jackson, who is the Director of Marketing. We have Diana Burns, who's the VP of Mortgage Lending. Miss Amanda Schultz, who's the Assistant Vice President in Branch Support, and Johnny Heinz, who's the Vice President of Information Security and a veteran. We really appreciate your years of service, Johnny. Thank you for being with us. So we've got really 5 stars from the Big Blue that are going to give you a little bit of insight into their own personal journey. And we're going to start off by asking them a question about their past experiences in their career. What are the three most important experiences in your career journey or your academic path that you'd like to share with students? Your three most important experiences. And we're going to start with Jeff. Jeff, we'll start there. What are your top three?
Well, thanks for having me. I would say the three most important, I guess, events that I would say would be getting into the master's program at Winthrop University, which is in South Carolina. So I'm far from there right now. But when I was there, I had a bachelor's degree and I worked 3 years in a call center environment. But then when I got on at the master's program, I worked with the MBA director there, and she was involved in HR. So basically one night after classes, she advised me that there's a local HR meeting coming up, and I actually attended with her the following week. And that's how I kind of got interested in the HR field. So it's funny how you talk about those building the bridges and the connections and stuff of that nature, but that's one of them for sure. And that's how I got in this field. So the second piece would be graduating from the MBA program. Having a master's opened up additional doors for me. And then third, which Glenn will love this answer. Basically, my best advice to folks would be, and I didn't know this as a younger person, trying to get hired on at a company that's on the best companies list because they treat you really well. And Randolph's definitely on those lists. And once you get on those lists, you do get a lot more candidates from an HR perspective. But anyone on the outside that doesn't know enough about those things, just understand that a survey goes out to all the employees, and it goes to a third-party vendor who tallies the results. And if you get favorable responses, you get put on that list. So it's good that, it's not the senior staff saying, "Oh, we're a great company, come work for us." It's all the employees from entry level all the way up who complete those surveys. So if you're looking for employment, and I guess most of you will be or you are right now, I would say get a hold of that list and start targeting those companies. You can't go wrong.
Yeah, thank you, Jeff. That's great words. I think, in this day and age, we put so much emphasis on technology and our reliance on technology, but at the end of the day, it comes down to the people, doesn't it? It's the people business. It's students, you've heard him say, it's the people he met early on, and now it's the people he works with every day. So very valuable guidance. Judy Jackson, how about you?
Thank you so much. I've had a cool career. My first foray into really marketing or anything was working as a broadcaster. So I learned very quickly everything's on the news all the time, which helped me build a very strong risk portfolio. So I parlayed from news over to marketing and have loved it, never looked back. Some of the greatest experiences I think are, and I'm going to be a little happy about this, just like winning national awards for campaigns that we've done that we truly believed in, and it's hard work. But at the end of the day, when you get to say, "Oh, wait, we have this trophy," and all of that, but more importantly, because we were also able to help our members and get the word out and effectively, because really that's when they do the awards, a lot of it is based on impact to your membership and all of that. So we know that we resonated with them, and that's huge. I don't think anybody out there knows their members better than we do. So I think that was really cool. And one of the nicest things that happened, it happened about 2 weeks ago. Glenn had asked us to do an internship program in marketing, and he had been asking for like a year and a half. And I was like, I don't know, Glenn, and everything else. I said, because really we're just in all the time. And this member, if we do it, this person is going to be a part of our team. We can't just have, we can't just teach them. They've got to be immersed. And he said, absolutely do it. And I said, okay. So we took on an intern and we got an email from him. He got a job and it was built strictly on everything he did at RBFCU. So when he came to us and his writing, and he was a very good writer anyway, but he came to us and we just kind of rolled up our sleeves and helped him out and everything. And now he's a professional doing what he loves to do. And that just really, at the end of the day, building high performing teams, seeing a legacy, building RBFCU's legacy, that's every day for us. So that's very exciting for me.
That's really good. Thank you, Judy, for sharing that story. I mean, it kind of sounds like you've got a similar path. You've learned about the people side of the business, and now you're using your skills and background and experience to not only help those around you in your company, but you're also helping those that are just coming through your path. So very good. Thank you so much. Diana Burns, she's VP of Mortgage. I bet she's a little busy these days. Diana, what do you look back and give us the top 3 experiences from your career?
So for me, I started here at Randolph Brooks as a teller as I was going through college. And so when I got my degree in broadcast journalism, I actually stayed with Randolph and moved into mortgage, which would not seem like the path you go to with a broadcast journalism degree, but it actually has served me well. So I did find when I moved into mortgage, I found my calling and I loved it. But then using my broadcast degree, I was able to create a program that helps the community, which is so important and why I love staying with Randolph Brooks, is we're so focused not only on our employees and our members, but the community as a whole. So I've been able to develop a seminar, not only that I go out, like when COVID wasn't happening, but go out and speak with people, talk with them one-on-one, give them guidance, and then build that class and program, now doing it online. So for me, to stay with Randolph Brooks, stay within the mortgage department, but I continue to grow and excel by using my degree in broadcast journalism.
Yeah, that's very good. Thank you for that story, because there's so many times I've coached students before and they're afraid they get stuck on what their degree says. And it's really not about what that diploma says. It's about what led you to manifest your own personal characteristics through that, right? So
Right.
How nice that you've been able to complement, your academic background with your own career development. Very good. Let's go to Amanda. Amanda Schultz, she's the Assistant Vice President in Branch Support. Again, probably a pretty busy lady. You're there on the front lines, but what are some 3 experiences from your career history?
Hi, yeah, like Diana, I actually started as a part-time teller many years ago in the branch world, going to school at Southwest Texas. It will always be Southwest Texas. Sorry to you Texas State fans. I was going to school to be a teacher, and one of the most important things I learned through that was to love what you do. I got into my student teaching path and enjoyed teaching the kids, but not as much as I enjoyed working at Randolph Brooks and helping our members, teaching them about the tools of the financial industry that myself, being 20 years old, didn't know about. And being able to share that is one of my biggest, most important experiences while being here at Randolph Brooks. In addition to that, like Diana mentioned about learning and continuing to grow, I've been very fortunate to be in the branch world, learn different areas of the front line, but then also learn the back line, and also being very open to the multiple areas of the credit union and to never stop learning, whether it's through training at RBFCU, through your college experiences, any additional type of training programs, and taking that, and you can apply that anywhere you go, whether it's your home life, your work life, and I've taken a lot of that and used it in both areas of my life.
Oh, that's really good. Another great example. You've got some parallelism there. You're a teacher, maybe in your heart, and so now you're using that skill to help your clients and your customers and your team members, and so really, really good. Thank you for sharing that. Okay, Johnny, well, you're going to close us out here. He's the VP of Information Security, so you got to keep the bad guys out of the credit union. But what was your journey to get here? Give us the 3 highlights from your past.
Well, thank you, Bruce, for allowing me to be here and share my story. I was probably one of those unusual candidates in the sense that when I became an adult, a legal adult at age 18. We know everything, right? The
Right.
last thing that was on my mind was spending time going to college. So what did I want to do? I want to join the military. I want to go see the world. So I joined the only branch that really matters, the U.S. Navy, right? I say that in the Air Force town, right? Because I really wanted to go see the world. So
Right.
it started my career, and the first thing that they did for me, the wonderful Navy, sent me to a year's worth of engineering schools right out of the bat. So I was stuck in school either way. So I ended up going to be an engineer first, spent the first half of my career in the military as an engineer. I was lucky enough to be sought after and brought into the military law enforcement side, and was recruited by a little known organization that you guys might have heard of called NCIS. So I ended up working for NCIS for a while. I started doing cyber crimes. And at the time, one of the other critical things that I started while I was in the military was I started to start my education, my career, my college education while I was still active duty. And I think that was key for me to, be where I'm at today. Because by the time I finished my time in the military, I had it in my mind, engineering wasn't for me. It was too hard, too many hours, too many, dangerous environment. Law enforcement seemed like a good place to go. Well, it was the special agent in charge of the station I was at actually pulled me aside and it's like, law enforcement's not where you want to be. Long hours, no money, you don't want to do this. So he said, hey, there's this new thing coming up called cybersecurity. You got to get into that. So as I was getting ready to depart the Navy, I think that was the best advice I've received. So I finished up my associate's degree in law enforcement studies. I left the military, went and started my full-time career student to finish out my bachelor's degree in business information systems. And at the time, I was lucky enough as a veteran, we have additional options that are available to us. And I was able to participate as a work study student as with one of the federal agencies. And that got my career started in cybersecurity with my background, cyber certifications, and that launched my career. And here I am here at RBFCU a year and a half. So the military, I think, was a big changer for me. A lot of the information that you learn, starting your education while in the military, and then I finished out my degree at a later time. I wasn't the youngest student in college when I was there.
That's good. How cool. Very good. Well, we're glad your ship came in to Randolph Brooks Federal Credit Union. Thank you very much for sharing your story, Johnny. So students, before we jump to our next question, you see the pattern here. All 5 of these panelists, I mean, the outstanding stories, but all this was truly a journey, right? So, and don't want to be too corny here, but it's really what it is. It's okay to have a plan, but it's okay to be flexible too, because as you grow and develop in your professional life, you will experience changes of focus, changes of interest, changes during your learning process. So please, I've coached too many students that will say, Bruce, I don't know if I want to do that for the rest of my life. Well, that's okay. You know what? You probably won't. So just take into consideration and reflect on what our panelists have said today to kind of help you build your professional journey and, build a history that you're proud of. So we're going to go back around now and ask a question to maybe get them to dig a little bit deep into the dark background of their life and, share that thing. What's that one thing you would have done differently? We all look back. It's easy to look back. They say hindsight's 20/20, but help our students from stepping in those holes. What's the one thing that you would do differently in your career journey if you could change it? And I'm gonna go back to Jeff Peckham. Jeff, kick us off here.
I would say probably when I was younger, like a student in college, I was a basketball player. So I did have a scholarship when I was in my bachelor's program, but not saying I was just having a good time and all that, but basketball includes practice and games and travel. And then you have school as well, but I probably would have focused a little bit more on building relationships with the professors and getting opportunities for more internships to get a little more diversity on what's actually out there. When you're young, you really don't know because you haven't really worked. Like, I'll go way back. My very first job was bagging groceries. So just, you don't have a lot to build on and you're just going off by what other people tell you. But an internship will definitely give you some insight into different areas, and you'll find out, hey, I might want to know a little bit more about this area, or I'd love to work here, or this is not for me and let me try something else. But the best advice would be try it out while you're young, when you have the opportunity to move around and gain some experience.
Good words. Absolutely. Don't be afraid of it. Get in it. Get in the game. Check it out. See if it's the right fit for you. It's okay. I tell students internships are mutual. It's a 50-50. You get to check them. They check you. You get to sample the situation.
Exactly.
So thank you for that. Judy, how about you? What's that one thing you'd change about your past career development?
I am going to totally mirror what you just said. I was recruited by a former employee to go to a different company, and I left a job I loved for the idea of, I could be used there or useful there and make more money and everything else. I didn't even have to interview for the position. It was mine. So I walk in and I knew right off the bat it was a bad choice. And so I think I would, if the mistake I made was jumping it to an opportunity without doing due diligence. And to mirror what you were saying, Bruce, look at every opportunity as a dating experience or building a relationship, because it's got to be right for you and it's going to be right for them. I understood why they wanted me. I get all that. What I didn't do is make sure it was right for me. And so I spent a year there, and every day it was, bartering with myself, going, okay, Judy, just get through today. Just get through today. Because I did want to give it a chance. And I was on, it was a recommendation from one of my former employees. So I wanted to make sure I gave it its chance, and it just wasn't a good fit. And so we said our goodbyes as friends, and not as my real friend, but as a company and an employee. And I just left and went on to better things. But my advice, like, Jeff was saying, make sure it's mutually beneficial to you, not just them, but also you. And make sure that your values and your moral compass align with the company that you're going to, because if not, it's going to take you to a place that you're like, I don't want to be here. So do your due diligence.
Very well said. Fit means that it works for both sides, right? So, I've seen students before that are really, really good at interviewing, and they just sell themselves into a job that they really shouldn't have sold themselves into. And so you're very right. Take the time to make sure you understand the scope, the purpose, the culture, and that makes for a really good relationship then when you have that. So now that I'm sure that was a little bit of a rough ride, but thanks for sharing that with us. Okay, Diana, what's back there in the closet that you wished you hadn't have seen?
There's a lot of things I wish I hadn't seen, but I think that the one thing I'd really want to share is, when you're young and you're starting out, you have a path. There's a goal that you're going to, and sometimes there are roadblocks that you did not see coming, whether it's a family member that gets sick or you get sick yourself. And so it can change the path that you were going. And so many people get stuck in the mud and cannot move forward because they weren't going down that path that they had seen. They don't create the new path. So for me, that happened. I struggled with the health crisis, and staying with Randolph Brooks gave me this opportunity. It was not necessarily, again, broadcast. Why would I stay with a financial institution with a broadcast journalism degree? But they helped me. And then I was able to find that maybe I didn't go the way I originally had thought, but I'm much happier in the path I ended up with.
Now that's really good. Still very, very valuable. I mean, each and every one of us is going to have experiences like that. Some are going to be a little more significant than others, but thank you for sharing that story, because I truly believe we're destined for a certain purpose in a certain place. And sometimes it's kind of hard to see it at the time, but things get real clear when you look back, and it all makes sense, doesn't it?
Yes.
Thank you. Johnny, okay, buddy, what's that one thing back there you don't want to, you wish you hadn't done, seen, heard?
Well, there's a lot of things I've seen. Again, being a sailor, I can't talk about, but
That's right. That's right.
No.
You're security now. Yeah.
Now, the one thing that I don't really regret, but I should have thought things through. Being in the cybersecurity world, you're highly sought after professionals, and there's many companies always wanting to recruit you from the organization you might be working for, and sometimes that comes to relocating. I relocated at the time. I was working in Portland, Oregon, my hometown. I got was it suckered, maybe is the right word, to come to Las Vegas, right? Work for a healthcare organization in Las Vegas, which was awesome. It was a great opportunity, good healthcare organization. But 3 years later, I had another company, a global manufacturer, recruiting me and asking me, of course, still relatively young. They're throwing all these dollar bills in your face, trying to move you from an organization you're at somewhere else. Well, that took me to and again, I hope none of the audience folks here, I hope I'm not going to say anything that I regret, but that took me to Michigan, and I spent 3 cold winters in Michigan, and I regret every one of those winters in Michigan. So if I had to do it all over again, don't really chase the dollars. Be mindful where you're going, because you spend 1 cold winter in Michigan, you'll regret it.
That's very good. One cold winter in Michigan or 1 cold winter in San Antonio, Texas.
Yes.
Johnny, did you visit Michigan anytime recently? I'm just wondering if maybe you brought some of that cold weather back with you.
Yeah, TSA allowed me to bring it back through my luggage, and it somehow escaped, so my apologies.
Well, we'll be wishing for that cold weather about July 4th when it's about 120 degrees in the shade. But panelists, thank you so much for sharing all that wonderful insight and a little bit of your personal background, your own career history. Students, you see that star on the RBFCU logo? You just heard from 5 of the stars that work for that fantastic credit union. And in just a little bit, stay with us, because they're going to share some more scoop and some more insight. You're going to take a little break here, but we're going to be back with some discussion about real opportunities, what's going on at Randolph Brooks. So stay with us. So Glenn, back to you, and take us into the next section here.
Glenn, you might be on mute.
I got to make sure I turn off my microphone, because I want to talk. It's tough to keep my microphone on mute, especially with the wonderful guests. I want to say this also, that with each of our guests, with each of those employees of RBFC, when I reached out to them and said we are hosting this open house to help and to support students that may be looking for internships, may be looking for new career opportunities, it's always, yes, what day is it? It's never, I don't know, let me think about it. It's one of the things that we do, and it's part of our goal, people helping people. Now, Ashley indicated she was with us 20 years. Tenure at RBFCU is not uncommon. In fact, Jeff brought it up this morning during our meeting, our human resource meeting, that we have employees that have been with us for a significant period of time. And Diana, if you don't mind me putting you on the spot, Diana has been with RBFCU for 28 years, if I'm not mistaken.
Almost.
Can I ask you this? What keeps you here? What is it?
It really has to do with the community. It has to do with what we do. It makes me complete knowing that we care not only for ourselves, right? But we care about our membership, but we we care about our community.
Absolutely. Thank you. And I know, Amanda, you started as a part-time employee. My understanding, Ashley also started in the branches. So a branch employee, you've been with us for many years, and I'm not sure exactly how many, but I have a pretty good understanding of what that number is. But what has kept you here for those number of years?
For me, I would say it's believing in what we do. We're helping people, helping members every single day, especially the college students like we have here, the high school students, the younger folks, and really educating them on what it's going to take to survive out there when you're out on your own.
Absolutely. It's one of the things I value when I go out to the community and I work with college students in different venues and different capacities. And many times we work with students that did receive scholarships for basketball or baseball or whatever it is. Jeff, my question to you is if there's any college students that have scholarships that they're pursuing maybe an athletic career, do you have any guidance for them that you'd like to recommend? Anything that you think they should really think about as they, look at what they're currently doing? I know for me, I played golf, which was get my degree because I'm not that good of a golfer. But any recommendations you would have for students that have scholarships and are looking to be in the athletic programs of these universities?
Yes, I have a 2-question limit. I'm just kidding. No, kind of like one of my answers to the previous questions, just use your connections. You get to know the coaches, the trainers. You don't know who knows who, and you can learn a lot just by talking. I was not one of the most talkative people on my team. However, my best friend was, and he could sit down with a chair and ask questions and get information out of it because he got engrossed in that person's life, and you can just learn so much about people that those connections can come back to help you down the line. So just don't miss those opportunities would be my suggestion.
Sounds good. Jeff, him and I had a conversation many years ago, more than 8 years ago, over the phone. He has a wonderful personality. And I think some of that came through during our phone interview, if I remember many years ago, as we had a conversation. But thank you for that guidance and wisdom. Misty, I know the next thing we have planned is we're going to do another poll question before we move to the next segment. So would you like to release the next poll question?
Sounds good.
And I'll turn it over to you.
Okay, well, the poll is open. So what career development resources are available to you in your Career Services Center? Let's see how everybody might respond. Very exciting. And after this, we will take a short break so we can do what we need to do, stretch, all of that good stuff. After the break, we're also going to then open up for questions for our panel. So think about what questions you would have for these awesome professionals and, things that you'd just love to learn more about.
And Misty, if it's okay, I'd like to add to Glenn's question. As the college students are in sports, that's critical in the corporate arena as well. So as you're doing your interviews, it's okay to mention that you're on a team or you played sports, because that tells us as hiring managers and employers that you know what it's like to be on a team.
Yeah, that's great.
Absolutely.
Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and end the polling. I think all of our guests have responded, and here are the results. So all of the above. Wow. What do you think about that, Glenn?
Well, I think that's great, especially because the career service centers at each of the universities that you're at, they work hard even through, in these virtual environments to create activities and programs that will benefit you. I always say to students that I meet with at career fairs, please reach out to your career service centers, talk with them, go visit them, make them so busy that they have to continue to recruit and hire. It is critical. They offer the resources. I see Lisa smiling a little bit. She probably has heard me say that before at UTSA. I know Misty has heard me share that as well, but they are there to help you to find your path and to be successful in your path. And employers in the community, it's a great place to network and connect with employers that are committed to your universities, but also to your success. I mean, we do mock interviews, resume reviews. In fact, this morning, Mr. Howard and I were on with Trinity University, where we did help students with some of their career development. So these are things that your universities have available to you. And I always use this as an example. Don't do what I did. I visited career services, and I know it's going to be hard to believe, but I visited career services 6 months after I graduated from college. I'm thinking that's probably not the right way to engage with career services. do it much earlier. In fact, if I'm not mistaken, and Misty and Bruce, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but many of the universities are now requiring students as freshmen and juniors to visit and to engage with the career service centers much early. It's more of a requirement than it's a good place for you to maybe go. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's absolutely right. I know at Texas State, they have a whole class dedicated to just opening up freshman eyes about the responsibility for taking charge of your career management, your career development. Yeah, when I was there as a career advisor, a lot of times we'd participate with giving presentations and things like that. But as soon as you cross that threshold into that next level of your education, I think the universities systems are beginning to realize that it's time to remember the intent, the focus, the mission here is, to get ready to launch your career.
All right. Well, are we ready for a break? Take a quick break and be thinking about your questions that you have for the panelists when we come back. So it's just going to be about 5 minutes, but do what you need to do in this time. We're going to play some music and we'll see you in about 5 minutes. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Misty.
I got this feeling inside my bones. It goes electric wavy when I turn it on. all through my city, all through my home. We're flying up, no ceiling when we in our zone. I got that sunshine in my pocket, got that good soul in my feet. I feel that hot blood in my body when it drops. Ooh, I can't take my eyes off of it, moving so phenomenally. Come on, like the way we rock it, so don't stop. And under the lights, when everything goes, nowhere to hide when I'm getting you close. When we move, well, you already know. So just imagine, I can see but you when you dance, dance, dance still. Good, good creeping up on you, so just dance, dance, dance. Come on, all those things I shouldn't do, but you dance, dance, dance. And ain't nobody leaving soon, so keep dancing. I can't stop the feeling, so just dance, dance, dance. So just dance, dance, dance. Ooh, it's something magical. It's in the air, it's in my blood, it's rushing on. I don't need no reason, don't need control. I'll fly so high, no ceiling when I'm in my zone. Cause I got that sunshine in my pocket, got that good soul in my feet. I feel that hot blood in my body when it drops. Ooh, I can't take my eyes off of it, moving so phenomenally. Come on, like the way we rock it, so don't stop, stop, stop.
All right, welcome back, everyone. Hope you had a great break. As you can see, we're having some fun. And we're gonna start with our next part and have our panelists available for questions. So take it away, Bruce. I will hand it over to you.
Misty, thank you very much. I think I saw you at a rock concert about 10 years ago, so love that bebop sound. I know many of you know I played with the Grateful Dead for a long time, but that's another story, right, Glenn? Okay.
Oh my goodness.
We're getting ready to get some really good, super duper valuable information here. So you all start thinking these folks are going to be here and they're ready to help you learn about how to join this fantastic organization. Okay, if you haven't been convinced you're in the right place, then oh my gosh, this is the place to be. And there's a lot of growth. I don't know if any of you ever passed by, but that fantastic campus started with one building, and then there was another building, and now there's a third building. I mean, this Randolph Brooks goes all the way from North Texas to Corpus Christi. It's amazing what they're doing. So we're going to open it up for some just direct questions about employment opportunities, job opportunities, and we encourage you students, don't be afraid. This is your chance. Like I said, this is like gold to have these 5 super team members from Randolph Brooks here to talk to you about that. And you can unmute your mic and you can just jump right in, and the floor is yours. Students, any questions? I know you're sitting there wishing you could ask somebody about how do I get into the mortgage business? We got the vice president here.
Well,
Yeah,
I do have a
think.
question.
Oh, please go ahead.
Okay, so it's pretty, it's a broad question, but what opportunities are available right now during this COVID-19 pandemic? What positions are you hiring for at this time?
Well, if you go to the RBFCU website, so rbfcu.org, there's over 50 positions that are currently available. Everything from IT to HR, and we are recruiting and hiring. And the interesting thing about that is when you think about financial services positions, yes, we're a financial organization, but we have opportunities in so many different areas. In fact, information technology, consumer lending, in fact, mortgage. And I know there's a couple questions in the chat about mortgage that they're interested in that area. So Donovan, there are a significant amount of positions. And Bruce talked about where RBFCU is located. Let's see if I get it all correct. We're in San Antonio, Austin. We're in Dallas, Plano, Frisco, Allen, New Braunfels, Kerrville, and Corpus Christi. Hopefully I didn't leave out, I think Seguin, Gonzales, but we're all over the state of Texas. All of our positions, Donovan, are on the rbfcu.org/career website. And if you have any questions about those later, you and I can connect, but you'll see the position, you'll see the description, and something I always talk about, you'll see the answers to the quiz, the requirements that we're looking for in the positions that we have available. But wonderful question. Diane, if you don't mind, I have a question for you. I know you and I have had this discussion, but mortgage. How do you get into the mortgage industry? And can you tell me some of the things that your team is doing to help RBFCU employees now look at those opportunities and maybe others to learn more about what careers in mortgage look like?
Okay, thanks, Glenn, for putting me on the spot. But in the past, we were very focused on bringing in seasoned and skilled processors and closers and loan officers. And we are learning that we need to adapt as the workforce. We're just not finding that staff out there. There's just a lot of competitors who are looking for the exact same thing we are. And so we're actually going to start creating what is called, we're going to create our own boot camp within Randolph Brooks. And the idea is to give an opportunity to hire individuals either from our say our teller staff or our branch staff, or maybe somebody coming in completely unfamiliar with finance, the financial institutions, and come in just from college, and they would be able to come in. We would put them into a classroom / virtual to teach them the basics of mortgage. Like, how do you spell mortgage to begin with? That's just a complicated word all in itself. But all the different terminologies and the different products and why one product is good for the other. And then branch them out more into the skill set that we might actually be looking for. So a mortgage one-on-one class, then build on to how to be a processor, what all that takes, and then on to closing and really finding your niche. So that is coming. We hope to have that up more towards the summer. And then it will be something that we will continue to build upon because it's an ever-growing education evolution.
Diana, there's a question popped up. It says, what are the qualifications for a mortgage loan processor? But let me kind of help that student define that a little better. Since you all are anticipating that fantastic training program, what are the top 3 characteristics, skill sets? What are the top 3 things you're looking for in an entry-level candidate to enter that world of mortgage loan processing?
So I do a lot of interviews, and for me, I really want to see the person's, they need to be hungry. They want that position. They need to come prepared. So when you're coming into an interview, you need to come prepared to know about that lender or any job you're going to. You need to understand what you're about to walk into. So if you're coming to Randolph Brooks and that interviewer asks you, do you know anything about Randolph Brooks? Do a little bit of research before you go in. And that way it shows that you have the desire to be there, that you want to work there. The other thing is be prepared to answer the questions. And every company is going to have a set of questions to get to know you in the interview. So you're not going to know them inside and out, but you should have an idea of good times and bad times, examples that you've had. How do you hope to grow? Where do you see yourself in 5 years? All of those things will definitely help us show us how hungry you are, and also do you want you're getting the job you want, and sometimes that's starting at the bottom level. a lot of times you come out of college and the idea is, well, then I think I'm going to be the next CEO. And that's not always the case. You sometimes, even with a college degree, you have to start at the bottom and move yourself up.
Like Glenn was saying about the answers to the test, and we always use that term when you look at the job description. Well, to finish this up, Miss Ashley Engel has inserted the qualifications required into the chat, in response to Andrea's question. And so there you go. I mean, students, you're there, look at those and then think about, if that's where you want to be, then can you connect with those skills required? And if you can't, go get some experience so you can, okay? But because that's what RBFC wants you to have, in addition to the characteristics that Diana shared with us.
Absolutely, great point. One of the questions also, Bruce, was, does RBFCU have an internship program? We absolutely have an internship program. We have, and we're able to kick it off many years ago. We currently are looking and evaluating the program only because we want to make sure the program is safe for all of our participants. Do we do it virtual, or are we going to do it in person? As so many organizations are, reassessing getting back to the office, if you will. So hopefully more to come on that. But if we do post a internship position, it will be on the rbfcu.org website. I want to also share with you that on board today, as part of this presentation, are several of the interns that have been with us over the past several years, Wilfredo and Chandler. And I could tell you about the internship program, and I could sell you on the internship program. But I think it's important that you hear from Wilfredo and Chandler Miller. Wilfredo, if you can talk about your current role and responsibilities. You actually came back to RBFCU, so you can talk about your journey. And Chandler, if you could also talk about your journey and what you're now doing at RBFCU. And Chandler, I'm going to start with you. There you go. Oh, can't hear you. How's that sound?
I can't hear.
I think so. Wilfredo, how's yours?
Can you hear me?
Perfect. Okay. Chandler, if you want to work on that, and then we will get right back to you. Thank you.
So,
Wilfredo, talk about your internship and then what brought you back to RBFCU.
So first of all, every summer, I used to work as a migrant for like 10 years. And like the 1 year, I set the goal to not go ever again, to build up my professional field. So my goal for that summer was to study abroad and get an internship. Doesn't matter where, just land an internship. And I wasn't wise enough to go to the career services at UTSA. So it was just myself and I went, looked around, got the interview, did a lot of research for this because I'm from the Valley and RBFCU, I don't even know what that is. So I did some research, some background. I applied for the business lending intern for 2019. I got back from studying abroad on a Friday and I started that Monday. And I loved it. I mean, after my internship ended, I could not work yet because I was still a student. But I graduated this past December and I got on board March 1st as a credit analyst. It's been amazing. Like, I can't explain.
Thank you, Wilfredo. Can you tell us just a little bit about some of the activities that you experienced as an intern within your department, and maybe some of the other activities you did in support of Randolph Brooks's commitment to the community?
Yeah, so as an intern, the first thing that came to mind was just getting copies, stapling things, but that's not what you do here at RBFCU. Like, you do actual work. And that was awesome because I felt part of a team. I wasn't an intern aside, I was part of the team. People would come come ask me questions, I would ask questions. It's all mutual. And also the whole internship program, it revolves around the community. So we went to the food bank in San Antonio. I remember Glenn took us out there at 110 degrees. We were sweating, but it was worth it. We visited more places, career fairs. Help me out, Glenn. There's so many things.
I think the Centurion Military
CMA,
Alliance are
CMA. We did so many things. Time flew by so fast. It was like a 2-3 month internship in a flash.
Well, what brought you back to Randolph Brooks after you graduated? Why did you decide it was us?
The people, like the team here in business lending, it's like a family, they're friends, and I'm not afraid to talk to my boss. I'm not afraid to talk to my coworkers because we all bond. It's awesome.
Absolutely. Thank you, Wilfredo, for sharing that. Chandler, you want to try again?
Yep. Can you guys hear me now?
There you go.
Awesome. Sorry about that. So I just wanted to also, my name's Chandler. I also started off as an intern before getting hired on. And just to piggy off of Wilfredo, the internship was amazing. It wasn't along from, I guess I'll start with, I was interning as an IT information security analyst. And along with learning that portion, Glenn also had us doing community service. I definitely was able to network a lot, learn more about LinkedIn, the ins and out, learn even more about the military and how their transition to the civilian life impacted them. So it was a lot. And like Wilfredo said, it went by very fast. And I was actually sad to actually end those intern activities. But as I said, I interned as an IT information security analyst. And during the internship, I didn't feel, not necessarily like an intern. I wasn't just printing out papers. I was actually doing real work. And I did have a previous IT internship where it was the whole, which you think an internship would be like, but I did not get that experience here. And I ended up getting hired on, and I love it. I love the RBFCU. I love my bosses, my teammates, and nothing has changed since the internship as far as not feeling appreciated or feeling welcomed at RBFCU.
Thank you, Chandler. Just a couple things. Chandler, I remember you and I talking about that you actually had a previous internship, and it wasn't in the information technology arena. And Jeff actually brought it up that an internship is important because it helped you to identify what you want to do, but sometimes it also helps you identify what you don't want to do. Can you tell us just a little bit about that? And then maybe you can touch on the fact that a year later, I had to call you so you could get me signed back onto the system, which for me was a full circle moment where Chandler Miller, who was an intern, is now helping me get back on the system so I can talk way too much, if you will. But tell us about your internship that you didn't find to be the direction you wanted to take.
Yes, I agree. When Jeff mentioned that, my original degree was in accounting, so I was able to get experience there. But every day I went, I enjoyed my boss, but I just didn't enjoy the job. For me personally, I think accounting is as I started off with it, but I just knew I didn't want to do that as a career. So I was actually doing accounting for an open cloud institute, which handled. I was doing the accounting side of an IT firm. So I was able to get my hands in the doors, which comes with networking there. So that's how I ended up changing my degree to cybersecurity. But I definitely recommend that because if I didn't have that experience, I would have graduated with the accounting degree and who knows where I would have been. So internships are very important.
Absolutely. Well, we're glad you decided to select us for your internship. I'd like to turn it over to somebody that Ashley and Jeff and I work with very closely. Hopefully she gets the hint that I'm about to reach out to her as she smiles. Andrea Calderon works with us in human resources, and she actually is continuing her education because of the benefits that RBFCU offers. Andrea, can you tell us a little bit about your journey, why it was HR, and why you're continuing your education?
Yes, definitely. So my name is Andrea. I am an HR employee relations specialist here at Randolph Brooks. My journey and my career path kind of touches on a little bit of what everyone here has talked about, you know, what Diana talked about changing your path. And what Jeff talked about of building relationships with people. So I actually graduated from UT Austin with the intent of going into medical management. So I was planning on going into medical administration and going into that field. I built relationships. I was actually working with somebody at a barbecue restaurant, you know, in college. And so he was able to help me get into an internship program with an organization that had an oncology practice here in San Antonio. So I was able to jump into that internship while I was still doing my undergraduate, and then moved into that career field into medical management. And while I was there, you know, I got to take on different roles with the organization. You know, the pay was good, but the organization and that field as a whole wasn't aligning really with, you know, the work-life balance that I wanted for myself. And the values that I wanted out of an organization. So I started to look at other opportunities that were available. And I was actually a longtime member of RBFCU, and I always enjoyed coming into the branches and the experience that I was getting from the tellers there. And the member service that RBFCU provides is amazing. So I went ahead and applied, and it was really the best decision that I ever made. I was able to come on board. I started in the onboarding area here with the HR department. So I started running backgrounds and doing all of that to get candidates ready to join the credit union. And then I was actually given the opportunity to move over into the employee relations team. So it was a great switch to really finding my niche there. So it's like Diana said, you know, making sure that if you're in a roadblock or you have to change paths, you know, taking that change in the path and making sure that you're building your own opportunities. I am taking advantage right now of the education reimbursement that RBFCU offers. So it's a great reimbursement for employees. If you're full-time, it's up to $5,250. Part-time, it's $4,000. So that goes back to your education, back to building yourself as a professional. And it's just opportunities that you have to hold on to and take.
That's fantastic. Andrea, I always enjoy working with you. And I think what she shared is, you know, first thing is to get the position, to get the job. But what we always talk about is, what are you going to do next to keep your star rising, and taking advantage of the benefits that the companies offer is critical and important. One of the things, Andrea, and I know you and I work together on this, is currently we do have a donation drive for the San Antonio Food Bank. And Andrea, for the last several years, and Linda, I see Linda Gomez in our branch operations, we're part of this program. So we appreciate your continued support in helping us to help those in the community. So appreciate you sharing this information with us. I talk about, and for those that are on board, we're opening your doors to RBFCU, the employment opportunities, the position, our journey from our senior vice president to many of our vice presidents throughout the organization. Well, one of the things that's opened every single day is our branches, if you will. And so we're grateful to have many of our assistant vice presidents of our branches, assistant vice presidents. And so I'm thinking Amanda, who works closely with me in Toastmasters. Linda, this is my little recruitment tool, if you will, but also take a look at Toastmasters. If your organization has it, or some of the schools also have Toastmasters, be a part of it. And I know Amanda joined us not too long ago. Amanda, can you share with us a little bit about your journey, but also some of the positions available within your branch?
Sure, I'd love to do that. Thank you, Glenn. Before coming to Randolph Brooks, I was a waitress at a restaurant, right? And so everything when you're doing that is so focused on money and what money's coming in and what am I going to go do with that, you know, being 23 years old. And I didn't think much about what it was that I was signing up for when I came to Randolph Brooks. I heard a coworker talking about it and I said, you know what, I'm just going to apply. It's better than working at a restaurant, right? And I did not know what an honor it would be to work with our members day in and day out. It's such an impact that we have on their lives. People come to us for guidance in so many ways because education is missing out in our communities. It's missing in the families. And so they come to us for help. And I loved the ability to change people's lives that I was given. So many of the coworkers that I had that started at the same time that I did, they had degrees in different things. In fact, myself, I was a certified dental assistant. And so it was different for me. It was a different path than I originally thought that I would have. But the ability to share the education with the members and be able to help guide them so they can make wise financial decisions and they could learn from some of the mistakes that I made when I was young. It's been so impactful for me, and I've loved being able to pass that on now to my own employees. And as far as the credit union goes, I wasn't originally going down this path, so I didn't have a degree that applied to this. But I loved that Randolph Brooks gave me creative freedom to be able to grow in my role and to be able to use my ideas and have an impact on other employees that were young and have them really take on their roles and be able to grow. And so for me, it's been a godsend to be able to join the Randolph Brooks family and to be able to learn from my coworkers and from my own managers. And I encourage you to take that opportunity and don't be afraid of just stepping into branch operations, because sometimes people think that it's just a teller, right? Anybody can be a teller. But the thing is that the tellers learn a little bit about everything. And so you're not just solely focused on one role. You get to learn everything. And it's kind of like an internship in itself, right? Because you're learning so many different things. And then you can build from that and build on your career in so many ways with Randolph Brooks.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for sharing that. It's interesting that so many of our leaders at RBFCU have started in the branches, but I think, Amanda, you hit it right on the head. It gives you, as a new employee or somebody that's joining Randolph Brooks, an opportunity to learn about our members and to care about our members, but also learn the products and services of how we do things, if you will. And I know within the branches, we're grateful to also welcome some of our regional vice presidents, Ms. Lee and also Linda Gomez. Can you talk a little bit about what you look for and as you manage the branches? Linda, if you want to start.
Sure. Thank you for having me, Glenn. One of the things that I definitely look for when we are interviewing for a position is definitely the attitude that they're bringing and how much effort they're going to put into some of the positions that we just talked about when they are applying. That's definitely something that we're looking at. Everything is teachable, right? You go into classes. Diana mentioned a boot camp that we're creating. So all of that is teachable. The things that we can't train and teach are the attitude and the effort that you bring. So that is definitely a number one item that I look for when looking and interviewing applicants.
Absolutely. Now, Linda, you didn't start in branch operations. I know that you and I first met when you were in consumer lending, if I'm not mistaken.
Correct. This credit union has provided different opportunities for me to take on a different path, just like many have mentioned. You think you're going to go one direction and then you get sent over to a different department and you learn so much and you learn to value the different things that all the frontline staff bring day in and day out, and especially their smiles. I definitely have learned that coming over to the branch operations world and not being in consumer lending. But there's just so much that they do, and they have to adapt to whatever the member walks into that afternoon or in the morning, whether it's opening up an account or working with an IRA or touching a consumer or business loan or even a mortgage loan. So they just do so much. And I've learned so much now working with this group. So it's definitely given me a different lens to look through with branch operations. And again, it's a different path, but you adapt and you change and you stay relevant. And that's really what's important.
Absolutely. I know that, you talked about moving into different roles and responsibilities. And I do remember many years ago, we had a policy, Jeff, and you may be able to correct me on this, but we had a policy where as a new employee, you had to be within that role and responsibility for a year before you can transition into another position, if you will. And then I believe it changed. Can you tell us a little bit about that and maybe why we decided to transition away?
Yeah, that's correct, Glenn. You had to be in that position. I think it changed. I've been here 8 years, by the way, but I think it was 6 months and maybe a year at one point, and now we removed that requirement. So if you got hired on, and let's say you go to a branch and then you have, I don't know, a marketing degree and they have a vacancy after 3 months, you see a vacancy in marketing, you want to apply, you feel free to do that. And the recruiter will assess whether they want to provide an interview to you. The idea behind the removing the requirement is we'd rather have the person stay with us rather than leave the company. So we removed that blockage, I guess you could call it.
Absolutely. And I know it's been definitely beneficial for us, but I know there's others, employers, and the market sometimes dictates those policies, if you will, but there's other employers that require that. I also want to say that we always continue to work with the development of our employees. Ashley's also manages our learning and development team, where we have online training and development, required training, but also we have training that is just beneficial for you and your individual development. And we have unique training that helps with speech and writing skills. And one of the other departments, if you will, departments or clubs within RBFCU, when I say club, it's more of the Toastmasters Club, if you will. And Linda's also currently the president of Toastmasters, where it's been very eye-opening for me as well to see how the employees really appreciate that type of a commitment that the company has. But I think within this environment, we've been able to spread the ability to have this club in a virtual environment. So we have participants from all of our branches. So I know Linda's been very instrumental in growing our RBFCU Toastmasters Rising Star Club. And again, another way that we're committed to assist our employees continue. Ms. Lee, I know you're also one of our regional vice presidents. Can you share with us a little bit about your journey and things that you look for in your staff?
Sure. Like a lot of people mentioned earlier today, I started out as a part-time teller while I was going to college at UTSA 21 years ago. And so I really saw what Randolph Brooks does for its employees and for its members, and really had a lot of pride in working for this company. That at the point when I was graduating from college, you talk about things that change your career, right? I had a manager, and I'll be dating myself. She got the career posting off the fax machine and shows it to me. And she says, I think you have a lot of potential. You should apply for this management position. And at that point I was graduating. So I thought I'm going off somewhere else. Didn't think I was staying at Randolph Brooks long-term. But to really have your management team invest in you, see a lot of potential in you, and point out to you the opportunities that Randolph Brooks had to offer, I applied, and here I am many, many years later. That really started my journey. And I ventured out of branch operations and have been in branch operations the vast majority of my career. And shortly, in a couple weeks, I'll be venturing off to something else within the credit union. But that's really been my path. And so what I look for in employees is really somebody who exemplifies exactly what we stand for, which is people helping people. People who really have a passion to help our members and to help the team, and really build a pride in Randolph Brooks. I take every Monday and I meet with our new employees when they get hired, of course, virtually right now because of COVID. And I love when I hear from our new employees that the reason they applied with Randolph Brooks is because they banked with us. And when they saw how they were treated within the branch and how they were treated by our employees, that made them want to apply because they felt like it was a good place to work. So I look at each of our employees in the branch as essentially being recruiters themselves, because they're exemplifying to those members out there that not only is this a great financial institution to hold your money at and to do business with, but it's a great company overall. And if they're looking for somewhere to work, this is a great place to work. So I look for that.
Thank you so much. You know, it's when I first started with Randolph Brooks, I would go to many of these career fairs, and I want to say Ashley and other members of the team says, listen, don't be surprised if a member walks up to you and says, I love the credit union. I think it's happened every single time I've gone to an event, if you will. It does make a difference when you work hard and strive hard to do things right. I think things that companies can't teach is effort and attitude. And those are things I think we look for in all of our candidates. You brought up something that, you know, let's talk about it. It's this virtual environment that we're in. Here we are all together on a Friday talking about an organization that's looking to grow and continued commitment to the organization and the community. We're recruiting and hiring 52 jobs currently on our website, many in mortgage, many in consumer lending, many in branch, and many businesses are looking to continue to move forward. And so the reason I bring that up is I want to introduce Jonathan. Jonathan is the newest member of the Randolph Brooks family who actually joined us through COVID, if you will. And Jonathan, you and I have not met in person. I can't wait to meet with you. We had a wonderful conversation, but thank you for joining us. Jonathan is part of our business solutions team. Can you tell us a little bit about your journey and what brought you to Randolph Brooks?
Absolutely. So there's a definite recurring theme amongst a lot of us, is that we've had to pivot, we've had surprises, we've been dynamic in taking on different challenges, putting ourselves out there, and doing so many different things. What brought me to financial services, specifically banking, is because there are so many different avenues. I was in accounting in college and working. I was married at the time, very young, and I was working full time. I was going to school before work and after work, and it was a challenge. But I put my time in there. I started as a teller, worked my way up through branch management. I even relocated with another financial institution here, which is how I ended up in Texas. And then went through a financial crisis with that institution, and I didn't know what to do. I was scared, and I went to work with a regional bank out in Houston, and I started managing branches for them, and they said, we want you to come over to our corporate office and help us with developing these other programs where we refer to our business partners and try to drive that referral program in the branches amongst the staff. So they pulled me in because I was the top producer for those referrals, and I got to do and teach people what it takes, those soft skills that it takes to be able to connect with people. And so that was I got to teach what I was doing, but then I also, unfortunately, pulled myself out of the branch environment. So being able to shake hands with people, being able to see them face to face, it wasn't there, unfortunately, the way I wanted. So I shifted again. There was an opportunity where someone retired and a gentleman got promoted and left a vacancy, and I literally went into something I had never done before, and that is with treasury management. So I became the treasury management officer for Houston, and literally my supervisor was the operations officer, and I had to jump in there. I had to be willing to literally just crack open the books and learn the industry, learn that. And so you have to be willing to try new things. Don't be afraid. Take that risk. The more risk you put out there, the more potential for reward. I came over to the operations side from treasury management sales, to managing the entire treasury management department for a regional bank here in San Antonio. And so, then I applied for the job here at RBFCU in March. And oh yeah, they got the application, started the process, and then they closed the position. I didn't give up. You have to not give up. You stay positive, stay focused. And I wanted to work at RBFCU so much that I would check the career site every single day, literally every single day. And the day that it popped up, that position became available again. And I reapplied and I got the interview and I met with my current boss's boss as well. So it was my first virtual interview I'd ever done. And here I am, nearly 40 years old. So that was new for me. So it doesn't matter. You have to be willing to do new things. I think stagnation is one of the things that can really hold you back. Getting comfortable, just collecting the paycheck. You need to stay engaged in your career, be willing to step out, put yourself out there. You need to work on your soft skills. And that's where if you're on a basketball team, you have to learn how to work as a team, how to communicate on the court, off the court, but then take advantage of those networking opportunities, getting to know your coach, your trainers, and then hey, you have a special thing where you need special treatment to be able to get the grade that you need to in the class. So you have to now engage with your professor, who's going to make exceptions for you and say, hey, well, if you want to stay, at a 95 in this chemistry class, I'm going to need you to here after hours because I know you're going to be on the road. And, you have to be able to negotiate with people, be able to, we call it glad handing, get out there and sell yourself, sell the people. And RBFCU truly sold itself to me. And it's just been such a blessing to be here. So now my role is I'm the treasury management analyst. What that means is that we have business customers. We call them members, and those members have their own businesses and they need a place to bank. Well, it's not just making a check deposit or a cash deposit. They have other needs that we know in the banking world that we have competition out there that now has such a good digital platform that we need to compete with. They have other programs to help our members be more organized. And so we're competing with that. So I came over to RBFCU to bring my expertise from outside. And we're building some aspects of our program so that we can better compete with our competitors. So that's what I do. But yeah, soft skills are probably some of the most important things as you're coming up the ranks. You're gonna have to put in the time. Don't expect to be, a assistant vice president, in 2 years. It takes work. And I've been in the banking industry since I was 18 years old. I was the youngest employee at my first job. And so, I love what I do. And that's the thing, you got to love what you do.
Jonathan, thank you so much for sharing your story, but also welcome to RBFCU. And I know in time, hopefully we get a chance to meet with you. We've had now you've had a chance to hear from all of the employees at RBFCU, from the panel and also those that have joined us in this room. We've had some wonderful questions via chat. So Bruce, I know you want to address the chat questions and that way we can respond to those.
Yeah, thank you, Glenn. There's one that maybe everybody's thinking, and that's the question about experience. When you post these opportunities at Randolph Brooks, that a lot of times it may say 1 to 3 years experience or something like that. How do we help a student understand if they don't have that direct experience, what can they do either to get it or to explain their other strengths and background?
So if you're asking me, because that was a processor position that they nicely put up there for 1 to 3 years, that wasn't necessarily the entry level in to the department. So we do have a processing specialist that you can get in with no experience. And that would be the way that one way to get in there. The other, as we build out that boot camp and we get that solidified, we will change some of those timeframes to where, because we would be bringing in people that need the basic 101s, and that's what that boot camp would be all about.
Sure, very good. Yeah, no, good point. Some will post experience requirements or preferred requirements, and some are not. We also had a question about, are there skills that are transferable? What skills should I be focusing on? On how to get in there, how to start my career. Even if they like maybe we just heard, even if they have an opportunity to work at another credit union somewhere, then they may want to apply to RBFCU. Is there a way to highlight that on their resume to make sure that you get that they get your attention?
Hey, Bruce, I'll take this one. For me, anytime that somebody has an opportunity to have an internship or just a position to work in, I want to know that they've learned something from it. And so I can't tell you specifically what skill to make sure that you get, because I don't know what you're going to have an opportunity to do in that particular position. But I want to know that you've learned something, and I want you to be able to tell me about it. And so I think that that's really, really key in any job that you go into, whether it's an internship or it's like Judy mentioned earlier, it's a bad experience that you go into. I just want to know that you've learned something and you've been able to take something from that experience.
Yeah,
Also,
absolutely.
Jeff, I'll also throw in some comments just in regards to like a lot of our entry level positions that say customer service. It doesn't have to specifically be in banking. Obviously, when you're dealing with people's money, though, we want you to be detail oriented, be professional, and pretty much in every customer service environment, they're going to train you to deal with irate customers. So what do you do, right? You let them vent, then you provide empathy, and then you resolve their concern. And that's pretty much across the board. Honestly, even bagging groceries. If you spill their groceries or something, you know what I'm saying? It's a foundation of pretty much every position here at the credit union, because we're about customer service, even in our department internally, where we support employees.
And I'll throw in one extra piece to that is you may not have the experience, but the other thing you need to look at when you're coming, especially into a financial institution, is that your credit is good. So it's not that you may have a lot of credit, but your credit is important, and companies will be looking at that, and that sets an example. So that can also have an impact if a company is going to hire you, whether or not you've been making those credit card payments. That can stop us moving forward.
And I'd like to add one more thing. And I think several of the panelists have brought it up. Use your network, build your relationships now, because the people that you're meeting now are going to potentially be the best friends, to get you into companies that they get hired with and they get hired with. Jeff, mentioned being recruited. I've been recruited. We get recruited by people who've worked with us in the past. People know who we are and the integrity of our work. So, just know your network and build your network, and build those relationships. And I emphasize build relationships, don't rip them down. Because one thing I love about RBFCU is in our executive management, they all have to work every aspect of the management. So, the executives rotate. And the reason they do that is because then they get to know every aspect of the business. You never stop learning. And I think it's critical that you need to know everything that you can possibly, you're sponges at this point. Use it, use your relationships, use your network, build out network. And I'm gonna get on a little soapbox here. Watch your social media. please. You're already putting your reputation and everything. It's already being built as we speak. So just make sure you have a clear footprint. You know, just understand you're building the brand of you right now in those relationships, in that network, in your social presence, everything. So build the brand of you and you should be just fine.
Thank you, Judy. Bruce, there was a wonderful question by Christopher Laura. I know that you and Johnny and I work closely in the military area. Do you want to capture that question?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, Christopher says that he has many, he's met many veterans along the way that, you know, trying to make this transition into a new career field. And what are some of the challenges that those individuals experience when they're trying to make these jumps into the civilian world?
Johnny, if you'd like to start, I know I can talk a little bit about what I've experienced, but maybe if you tie it into what you experienced.
Sure. I can try to explain the opportunities you have as a veteran and the service organizations that are out there to assist veterans to make that transition from the military DoD world into the civilian world. Especially if, cybersecurity is still one of those very hot areas, looking for a lot of people all the time. There's many different programs that are out there that are free to veterans to get into that field. It's free boot camp. They understand that these veterans are not in the IT world. They're not in the cybersecurity world, but they're teaching them and it's all free. And from there, they are getting those links into those highly sought after cybersecurity positions that are out there. So I know, Glenn, you and I have been involved with Bruce on some of these organizations, but there's more than you think. And so I go back to the time that when I was in the military and when I was leaving the military, we didn't have service organizations like this. Not just to make that transition. It was like a one-day class saying, hey, you're leaving tomorrow. Here's your DD-214. See ya, right?
Right.
Totally different. And what's even more unique today is they're also including spouses of military members as well, which I think is also critical. And RBFCU is very, very much involved in that. And I'm very proud that we're involved in that. And we're providing our support to all these transitioning veterans. So definitely take advantage of those.
Thank you, Johnny. Christopher, I'd love to connect with you and share with you all of the and maybe you have other student veterans who may need this information. One of the things that we've found out that there are so many options for veterans and their spouses and their families. I'm a military dependent myself that are available today more than ever before. When my dad retired, there definitely weren't those opportunities there, and Johnny indicated as well. But we work with organizations such as the Centurion Military Alliance. Johnny, myself, and Bruce also helped with an organization called 4Block. It's a national organization where we did resume review mock interviews. There's one here in San Antonio. The USO is a wonderful partner with us as well. And here in San Antonio, and it's available because of this virtual platform, it's the JBSA Alliance, Joint Base San Antonio Alliance. We have meetings every Tuesday. There's more than 60 veteran service organizations and employers that are there to help. The challenge, your question was more related to the challenges that veterans face when they transition. And I will tell you a common theme is, what do you want to do next? What do you want to do next? And the reason it's a common theme is because 65% of veterans that transition out of the military, they leave their first job within that first year. And so it's our, as an employer, it's our effort and desire to help them identify what they want to do. Here's the other thing that's challenging, is so many service members have wonderful education, many of them master's, bachelor's degrees. They haven't had maybe the career coaching, the interview skills training, the soft skills training. And that's what we focus on. In fact, I'm honored and grateful at the Randolph-Brooks campus for the past, actually, I believe 6 or 7 years, we hosted the Centurion Military Alliance mega workshop, where we had the very last event, we had well over 500 service members and their families and dependents that visit us. Wilfredo talked about it. Their number one challenge is not their resume and not the education. Many times it's telling their story during the interview. It's talking in a verbal manner, and Bruce and I talk about this all the time. You've got a resume, but can you tell your story in a way during an interview that makes the connection with the hiring manager and the recruiter? So we focus on interview skills training, resume writing, and really helping to build their network. So I'd love to connect with you. There's definitely more to learn, if you will. And one of the things, John, you talked about as well is the transitional assistance program that the military is now requiring. Many years ago, you had to get through it, Johnny. I'm going to say probably within the last several months that you were transitioning out of the military. Now it's required that all veterans take this course a year before they transition out of the military. And it could be earlier if they like. I'm fortunate, myself and other employers in San Antonio, we have a chance to be part of those programs. We've done several presentations on how they can be competitive. So there is so much going on in the San Antonio area, but in this virtual environment, if you're a transitioning service member or a spouse across the country, please connect with us. I'd love to help you in any way we possibly can. But hopefully that answers your question. It's the resume review writing, it's the soft skills, and it's identifying exactly what you want to do. In fact, Bruce and I will cover it towards the end of this presentation, how you can be a more competitive candidate. Hopefully that answers your question.
Glenn, thank you very much for leading us through this part of the session today. I think it's time for us to maybe take a quick break and get ready for our next very valuable presentation from some more of the RBFCU team. We've got a couple of folks coming up to talk to us a little bit about how to maintain that financial literacy, and I believe we're getting ready to make that jump. Your mic's on mute. Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Yep.
I think there was a question for Ashley in the chat, if I'm not mistaken. Unless we covered it.
I think she.
Forrest Garcia, I have and I'll read it. I have a question for Ashley. You talked about how your passion for RBFCU and how giving back to the community. My question is, what is the difference about working at RBFCU than anywhere else you have worked before?
Well, I'll try to make this brief because I know that we've got a lot more to get to this afternoon. But, you know, really, Forrest, for me, there's a number of things that are different about RBFCU. We've really, over the years that I've worked for the credit union, our business development team and the HR group, they've really, I mean, the number of events that we attend and go out and try to support the communities that we're in, it's great opportunities. You will see RBFCU employees that are out there, not just the business development team or the HR team, but you know, as our former interns have commented that, you know, we it's just throughout the credit union that we give people opportunities to go out into the community and to represent RBFCU, whether it's through our wellness initiatives that we've been able to implement over the past several years, or you know, some of the community events that we have where we support just different initiatives. Gosh, there's things that we do here in San Antonio, things that we do in Austin, things that we've done in Dallas to get employees out, not just waiting for our members to come to us, but us going out. And then the other piece is just all that we do to support our employees. You know, over the past year, we've really seen the way that we have had to shift and how we can still serve our members while keeping our employees safe. And then going back and answering questions for our employees as people have navigated children being home from school and just the dynamic of not being able to visit their family members, and to be able to see a company respond. Anecdotally, we've had several people come to us and say that their mothers, fathers, sisters, brothers, spouses, that the companies that they work for don't communicate with their employees. And from the very first week, our CEO is putting out videos to our staff telling them, you know, what changes we were making to try to make sure that with the pandemic that we were still remaining safe and keeping our employees at the forefront of our minds. So that's what makes RBFCU different.
Ashley, thank you so much. You know, I thank you for recalling those videos that Chris and many of the executives, yourself included, put out there for our employees. And I think, so what are we doing today? I will tell you that, yes, we're taking care of our members, but as Chris indicated, we need to take care of ourselves. And what they do is they lead from the front. In fact, we actually have, here's my little plug again for all of our employees, but we have something called the Executive Team Challenge. And so our executive team challenges our employees to stay healthy. Yes, work hard for our members and for what we do, but also take care of you and your family. And so we have a virtual step challenge where our executive team is actually leading the way, but there's several of us on the call that are not far behind. So it's just not saying it, it's walking the walk, and in this case, walking each step. So thank you so much for that. Bruce, I'll turn it over to you. I know we're going to take a little bit of break, and then we're going to get to our financial literacy presentation. And for the RBFCU employees that are here, thank you so much for taking time on a Friday. Did I say it was Friday? For sharing your path, your journey to RBFCU and the things that you do to help us to support the community. You're more than welcome to stay on for the financial services presentation. And then also for the final presentation, which is to be a competitive candidate. Thank you so much. We'll see you back here in about 5 minutes, and then we'll also have another poll question. Enjoy your break.
All right. Michelle, you can, if you need anything to set up.
No, I can share my screen.
Yes, yeah, it's a really quick break.
Okay, awesome.
Thank you, Misty.
All right, whenever y'all are ready. So fun. Oh, we're gonna do a Kahoots. Yay. So we'll go ahead and turn it over to you, Glenn. Yep, to introduce Michelle.
I think everybody's taking just a little bit of a break, if I'm not mistaken.
You let him loose, Glenn.
I'm actually not on mute.
No, I said you let him loose.
Oh. I'm going to get me a drink of water, but yeah, I will be right back. Thank you so much. I let him loose. Yes, I did.
Okay. I think I might do this one a little bit quicker. So since we're short on time, I'm going to change the time frame real quick.
You're just cutting into Bruce's presentation. No problem.
Yeah, but I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
Thank you, Michelle. Cut into Glenn.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Cut in. Yeah, cut Glenn out. You don't.
Misty, wonderful questions. Wonderful questions.
Yes, it was great. You want to go ahead and introduce Michelle? We get started. Looks like
Absolutely.
everybody's back. Yep.
Okay. Well, thank you everybody for staying with us during this portion of the presentation. One of the things that I've learned over my time at RBFCU is our commitment and concern with everybody's financial fitness, if you will, understanding what financial literacy is and the things that we do to help our members. We definitely look to make sure that they are meeting their financial needs, but also helping them out in any way we can. Somebody that has worked with me in so many different events, if you will, somebody that whenever I asked her or her counterpart, Jennifer, if they could help with a program or presentation, they're always on board. They have helped so many of our community members in San Antonio, but actually across Texas. They are here to help, and they have helped. They also have put together a program that it's been an award-winning financial literacy program that's been recognized. And it is my honor and my privilege to once again, we're going to have to go back and look at this, Michelle, how many presentations we've done together. It's been, I would say, just a few, 100 maybe. But it's always my pleasure and privilege to introduce another wonderful employee at RBFCU, Michelle Herrera, who's going to talk a little bit about your financial literacy. Michelle, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, Glenn. First and foremost, thanks so much for having me today. I always look forward to doing these types of presentations because it's not just a sit and get, it's kind of interactive. So today we're going to do a Kahoot. For those of you who've never done a Kahoot, what you do is you navigate to this website, and I'm going to introduce myself, but while I'm doing that, we're going to multitask here for the sake of time. So you go to www.kahoot.it. You can do that on your phone, whatever you want, however you want to navigate it. And then you'll enter this game pin and it'll join you into our team for the chance at amazing bragging rights when it comes to how financially, educated you are. So a little bit about me. I've been with RBFCU for a little bit over, well, close to 14 years. I've worked with the credit union two separate occasions. And like a lot of the same, I'm going to admit the same theme as everybody else. I took a major detour down a different career path, but it's really funny. I was working in the financial institution world at RBFCU as a teller for a long time, and then did another financial institution. And after that, I just realized I needed a break. It wasn't because of RBFCU. It was the other company that I worked for that was just a little bit out of my culture. It wasn't the same. And as you can see, I navigated back to my people, the people that I enjoy to be around, which is again, a common theme you've seen from a lot of other folks that have talked today. It is really all about where you work, who you work with. Yeah, the paycheck is nice, but the reality is you're here at the company more than you are at home. So you really have to like what you do, So speaking of that, I'm very passionate about financial education. And you heard Diana directly say, your credit has to be in good condition when it comes to, doing the career search. That's a huge part of it. Whether employers tell you that or not, it really is. So I'm going to jump in unless there's anybody else that still needs to get started here. And we're going to just go for it so that we have enough time to get through our quick presentation as well as some fun polling questions. All right. I think you can still join in even if not. So if you need that code, I think somebody put it in there. All right. So first and foremost, we're going to talk a little bit about some of the fundamentals of personal finance. And we're going to start with a quiz question. What are the benefits of a financial education? So for those of you who haven't played this game, you want to pick the shape that coincides with the answer that you're selecting.
Hi, everyone. I think we're having some technical difficulties. Okay.
Did we lose a connection?
I think we're back.
Okay, great.
I just said, all I was doing was showing you how to be flexible with virtual technology and how to bounce right back and pretend like nothing happened, right? Okay, so obviously we didn't get everybody to answer this question, but one of the fundamentals that I'm going to jump back into in regards to getting started on the right path with your personal finance. And, you know, I don't ever make assumptions when I teach, because the reality is, and a lot of you mentioned this when you were talking, not everybody comes from a financial institution background, right? I think as a financial institution employee, we kind of take for granted the privy that we have when it comes to accessing our accounts and kind of seeing these things grow and the information that we have access to. So I will say one of the benefits of having an account at a financial institution is that you get the opportunity to really, you know, have benefits of getting started with implementing savings. Financial institutions also have such just great benefits. And I've done a lot of research in my field in regards to unbanked and underbanked people. And as much as I want to say I'm surprised, you know, really the only thing that's really spurred people to get more unbanked and start to get accounts is that with this terrible pandemic has come these lovely stimulus checks. And now people are realizing like, oh, shoot, I really need an account. Besides the stimulus check, having a financial institution provides you protection on your money. You have the opportunity to earn interest that your piggy bank or your sock drawer or wherever you keep your cash at home doesn't provide you. And then that convenience factor, just being able to access your money whenever you want. Okay, so what is a budget? The budget is all of these except what? Very good. It's not restrictive and it does not keep you from doing what you want, right? So where I'm going with that is people tend to have bad attitudes when it comes to budgeting. I don't ever meet a lot of people who are like, yay, budgeting, I want to come to this class so badly. But the reality is the more aware you are about how you manage your money, the more likely you are to, you know, to be successful when it comes to those challenges that you might face. So what is a budget? It really is just a plan for managing your money. It provides you some stability in being able to pay attention to how you control and manage that money. It helps you to create that savings plan to reach those goals that you have and live within your means, because when you literally write down your income and your expenses, there's kind of no way around it, right? No matter what format that might look like. Some people are tech savvy. They want to use an app or, you know, some spreadsheet, and some people are just paper and pen. You know, I'm in my early 40s. I have one foot in the world of no technology and then another foot in the world of all technology. So I'm still a to-do list person, and that's what I like to do. And that's how I manage my budget. And so you have to find a system that works for you. Another really important factor when it comes to personal finance and budgeting is there are statistics out there that show that having your finances in order also just reduces financial stress. Employers want that, because when you go to a job and you're thinking about how am I going to pay this bill, or is this collector going to call me while I'm here at work? Nobody wants that. Nobody wants that additional stress on their life, right? So budgeting is such a huge key fundamental item for us as we get out there and start earning our own money. Budgets also help us to identify spending leaks, just cutting back on those little unnecessary costs, right? Which of the following is a basic personal budgeting equation? This is just a real basic, don't overthink it. What do you think? I promise, I'm coming in on Friday, bringing y'all easy questions, not trying to hurt your brain on a Friday. All right, very good. Okay, so I'll show y'all quickly where y'all are at there. Those are our top folks. Ooh, Brianna's on fire over there. Okay, so this is just a quick breakdown of the budgeting equation, which is income, expenses, and savings. It's so small, it's very minute items, but it's so impactful because our income is going to tell us what we have available for our limitations of to spend. Our expenses tell us what bills we do have to pay. And then our savings are the things that we're going to aim for to kind of protect ourselves in the now and in the future. So income, we want to know our net. What's our take home pay after taxes? Our expenses, we want to know what are the bills that stay the same every month, those fixed expenses, those variable that fluctuate, that can change and really kind of mess us up if we don't pay attention to those. And then those periodic expenses that happen throughout the time frame, okay, just throughout different times of the year. I'm going to go more into savings here in just a second, but I'm going to ask y'all one more quick question here. What is the recommended amount for an emergency fund? What do you think? Very good. Yeah. So again, this is a recommendation, but most financial advisors recommend that you have at least 3 to 6 months worth of living expenses. Okay. That can seem very daunting. So don't get caught up in the total number, but the reality is work towards that, because the question I get all the time is, well, what happens if I have an emergency while I'm trying to get to my total emergency fund? Well, that's called life. And that's just going to happen, right? As soon as you start to see a balance, your refrigerator is going to break down, your car is going to break down, everything's going to happen all at one time. But think about it like this. If you didn't have that money in the account, you would have been worse off. So anything you save is always better than dealing with nothing, right? So emergency funds are really important because they protect us against unexpected financial challenges. And if COVID has taught us nothing, it's really that we have to be prepared by amping up that savings account. Pay yourself first is for retirement. So a lot of you might be going out into the workforce and getting these benefits, right? So I know if Glenn hasn't told you, we have an amazing 401k. And if you haven't taken advantage of that opportunity before, definitely do so with any employer that you do, because any monies that you put into those accounts, you can just take with you if you leave and then decide to come to RBFCU because we're amazing, right? The recommended amount is about 10% of your monthly income, give or take. So if you want to retire at 45, then you probably need to put more than 10%, you know. If you want to retire at 60, you know, whatever that time frame looks like for you, it's going to be adjustable according to your lifestyle. Dreams is another type, or goals is another type of savings account. What's recommended is 5, and that could vary from buying a new car to going on vacation to starting your own business, whatever that looks like. So 5% again is able to be fluctuated according to whatever that goal looks like for you. Okay, but having savings accounts and different buckets of money is really important. Okay. What's the difference between saving and investing? Very, very, very good. All right. Oops, let me go next. Great job, everybody. So saving and investing, short-term versus long-term. Long-term thinking more of the profit and the benefit from that particular item versus saving for the now, like buying a car next year or something like that, right? We don't need necessarily easy access to that cash. But one of the biggest differences and factors between saving and investing is also that there's a huge risk and return factor when it comes to investing versus saving. We know if we have our money in an account like RBFCU or a bank, we have that insurance and protection on our money that doesn't exist when we're investing. So when we're investing, we want to put money in still in safer types of investments, but we know that there's a risk, a possibility of losing some or all of our original investment. And the return, though, should be a lot higher than that savings account. So that's the gain or loss of that money invested. All right. My next question is, compounding interest is the interest you earn on interest, true or false? Yay. Great job, great job. So compounding interest is actually the magic that creates your balances in your accounts. I love to share this example, and I'll tell you what this is. Okay, so this right here is just a highlighted example of the time value of money. So what that means is the sooner you start investing, right? Some of us who are in our 40s, we can't compete with those 20-year-olds, but I'm hoping that some 20-year-olds out there are listening to me, because this is definitely something that could work to your benefit when you go to retire. Save yourselves, right? It's too late for me. No, I'm just kidding. But if you look at this example, each person, each different color on this chart has invested $5,000 annually at the end of each year with a 6% annual growth rate. All earnings are reinvested, so they're compounded back in. This person with the blue is a 20-year-old who invested $225,000 of their own money. At the end of that 45-year term, they came out with over $1 million. So from $225,000 to $1 million, that's all interest. So the earlier you start, oh my gosh, you could be in such great shape, right? Don't worry, there's still help for the 30 and 40-year-olds too. So with the 35-year-olds, they invested $150,000 of their own money and came out with about almost $400,000 over the course of their 30-year time between 35 to 65, okay? And then our 45-year-old started with $100,000 and came out with $183,000. So what I want you to take away from this is that not that the person made the least amount, but that no matter when you start, it's always better than never starting, because there's always going to be an opportunity for you to earn interest on your money and to take advantage of maximizing your deposits and your investments, okay? Yeah, we could look at that as like a sad situation, but we're not going to do that today. It's a happy Friday. Okay. Don't put all your eggs in one basket refers to which term? I tried to find a cute basket for the visual here. Very good, diversification. So yes, putting your money in different spots is so important. I'm not going to go into depth on all of this, but I just want to show you a financial planning pyramid. Accounts down here are all insured. Anything up here, they all vary in levels of risk, and they're not listed in any particular order, but they're definitely great opportunities, with the exception of Las Vegas up here. All of these are really good opportunities for you to go out there and do some research before you start investing and get your money, working for you. All right, another quick quiz question. What age should you begin using credit? Very good. So 18 is the legal age, right? That's when we can all start using credit. But the reality is when you should start is when you feel financially responsible to handle that, that situation, because it is a big responsibility. I hate to say it, but a lot of lenders, out there will give credit to people who maybe aren't ready for the ability to handle that. And so it's your job as a consumer to kind of make sure that your budget, you'll hear me say that again, is ready to handle that additional expense, okay? Because credit is the ability to obtain goods or services before payment. So you're borrowing somebody else's money to get something that you want. And the idea is you're gonna pay it back with an additional fee, which is called interest, okay? So kind of keep in mind, anytime you use money that's borrowed, there's always gonna be an additional charge on that. True or false, anyone can review your credit reports. All right. So anyone can, as long as you give them permission, right? That's where my little trick was, because a lot of times you're going to go to maybe make a purchase or apply for a service like this or apply for an employment right? And those people that are related to each industry are going to ask to review your credit history for different reasons, but they still have to get your permission. And so you typically have to sign a review that information beforehand, okay? All right, we're going to scooch by and try to get through some of these other questions really quickly, because I want to focus on 2 more slides that are really important before we wrap up. The shorter the term of your loan, the less interest you pay. True or false? True, that's right. So anytime, whether it is related to auto loans. So if you notice here with the lower interest rate is going to impact that term, but also a shorter term can also impact the amount of interest you pay. But also when it comes to credit cards, this is just a quick example of a $2,500 credit card balance. But if you notice, the bigger payment you make shortens the term. So again, the shorter the term, the higher the payment, but the less interest you're going to pay over the course of each particular loan. So always don't fall for that thing when they tell you at the car dealership, so what payment can work for you? We'll get you into that car no matter what. Yeah, they'll get you into that car, but it's going to take you 7 to 10 years to pay it off. And I don't know about y'all, but I always think about, what is Michelle going to be doing in 7 to 10 years? I don't want to be paying the same car, because then I'm going to need a new one by then, right? How often should you check your credit reports? Not skip, I don't want to skip. There we go. On average, it's at least once a year. But I will say this, it's really your preference. Annualcreditreport.com is a great way to check your credit report. And you're not necessarily checking the score every single time. You're checking the information on there. You want to make sure the accounts are accurate, as well as the information regarding your address and all of that good information. You just want to make sure that it's accurate, okay? Especially if you have a common name, and do that at least once a year, unless you have a credit monitoring agency that you work with. And typically you can check that a lot sooner, more frequently. All right, next quiz question. A credit score of 720 or higher is considered which of the following? All right, correct. So when it comes to credit scores, most of the credit bureaus range between 300 to 850. Now, there are some other credit bureaus out there that are outside of that range, but the 3 that we just saw on that last screen, this is around their range. And then this just shows a quick snapshot of when a lender is reviewing your credit for credit worthiness, you know, kind of the ballpark idea. Now, this isn't a perfect science, because every single creditor and lender is going to have their own calculation and their own algorithm for some of these credit reports. So it's important for you to remember, don't get stuck on, well, I saw this on Credit Karma, because Credit Karma may not be using the same credit report that, you know, your agency that you're working with, or your lender that you're working with is using. So it's important to know that, you know, you can always ask those questions if you're not sure, okay? All right, next quiz question, and we're almost done because I want to show you one last slide here. So which factor impacts your credit score the most? Ooh, a split. Yeah. At debt level, yes, that's actually number 2. So when it comes to your credit score, payment history and debt level are neck and neck. 35% is your payment history, paying on time is key. 30% is your debt level, which is How much of your credit card availability do you carry? So as a debt, and that impacts the score 30%. So for example, when they say don't max out your credit cards, I have a very twisted feeling about that, because I say, yes, don't max out your credit cards and carry that balance, because that can impact your score in the long run for a very high percentage. But if you pay that balance in full every month, your credit score can bounce right back, and that can change on a daily basis, okay? Length of history is the amount of time you've used credit. Inquiries and new credit are your loan applications and new credit that you take on. And then types of credit are revolving and installment loans. So meaning credit cards and or loans like a car or a house that show your credit worthiness, if those are types of loans that you're trying to obtain later down the line, like a home. All right, that's all I have for y'all. So cheers to our winners there. Let me see if it gives me a final score here. Oh, I do want to actually share this with y'all. So if y'all are ever having any questions about your own personal finance, or you ever want to know about any programs that we have going on at RBFCU, this is our contact information, financialeducation@rbfcu.org. And we are always available to do presentations for groups. So please feel free to reach out if you have any questions. All right, let's see if I can get the final score here. There we go. Brianna, third place. All right. It's What We Do got second. Oh, who's this? Chan, good job. All right. Well, y'all officially passed the financial literacy portion of today's segment. So thank you so much for entertaining me and allowing me to come chat with y'all today. I appreciate it. Thanks, Missy and Glenn.
Thank you, Michelle. Always great information. So appreciate the time. And I know that we all benefit by your passion for financial literacy. So truly appreciate your support of this presentation and the open house, and look forward to our next event.
Yeah, thank you.
Misty, I think the next presentation is going to be Mr. Bruce Howard. He's going to, I guess we're going to call an audible, and he's going to do the whole presentation as he's smiling. I guess, no, we're going to do it together, but we're going to bring it home. Just a couple things before we move forward. You know, when we think about what we've shared with you today, we've talked with you a little bit more about Randolph Brooks. We let you know where we are in the community. You had a chance to meet many of our hiring managers, if you will, and interns that continue to stay with us or come back to us after they graduate. So we're excited about that. These are things that are important to us for you to better understand what we're doing as an organization. Yes, we are a financial services organization. We're actually not for profit. What we're here to do is help you as students and faculty members that are listening live, if you will, or who will be listening to this recording. We're here to help in any way we possibly can. So again, we've taught you about the organization, our culture, our commitment. Now, what Bruce and I want to do is to teach you some tools, some tips, some guidance, if you will, of how you can be a more competitive candidate for that employment opportunity that awaits. And at the very end, we also will have our contact information. So Misty, I think I just need to share my screen, and Bruce and I will get right into it.
Yep, that sounds good. You should be able to.
Righty here. Let's see. How does that look?
Looks good.
Okay. Well, with that said, again, our presentation is on how to be a competitive candidate. One of the things that I know Bruce and I have experienced in the course of our presentations is that many students, if you will, they have the information that they need, but they don't know how to share it. And we want to give you some tools and some tips to do that. A little bit of information that I think is important is where RBFCU came from and our commitment to do that. I'm going to adjust my screen here for a second. It is not cooperating with me. Okay, there we go. So some of the things that we're going to talk about, screen still okay? If you can give me the thumbs up.
Yeah, good.
Okay. Perfect. Thank you. So a little history of RBFCU and a little history about STAC. And Bruce, I'm going to ask you to begin with a little bit more information about your wonderful organization.
Yeah, thank you, Glenn. So STAC stands for South Texas Alliance of Career Champions. And we are a brand new nonprofit formed last year to serve as the business organization for a very long-standing consortium of all the career centers in and around the San Antonio area. There are like 15 colleges and universities that are part of this consortium. And we put together an official 501c3 or a company last year to serve as that business group. South Texas Alliance of Career Champions. Basically, bottom line is, please use your own career services center. Those folks, those individuals have the depth, the talent, the background, experience, the tools to help you really launch your career, maximize your employment opportunities.
Absolutely. And we've talked a little bit about RBFCU. RBFCU is, again, not-for-profit. We're a, I like to say in our DNA, we're a military credit union where we started more than 60 years ago at Randolph Air Force Base. And I will tell you, over the last 10 years, we've been very fortunate to continue to grow. We've actually more than tripled in size in the last 10 years. From the number of employees, when I started, we had about 650. Today, we're closer to 2,100 employees. But again, I shared with you, we're in San Antonio, Austin, Dallas, Plano, Frisco, Allen, Fort Worth, New Braunfels, and Corpus Christi. So the growth does continue. And we have been fortunate during this very challenging time to continue to grow and serve the needs of our community and our members. It is humble when we have a chance to go to events, as I've shared, that we meet members who have been impacted or maybe have benefited, I truly believe, by their relationship and their membership with Randolph Brooks. Some of the other things that I wanted to share with you is we're continuing to reach out and to support the communities. And I think these are things that are critical, important to our mission of people helping people. As Bruce and I continue, some of the things we're going to talk about is that are important to you as you start looking for employment opportunities is how to build your brand, where to look and find new career opportunities. We're going to talk just a little bit about that. And then also we're going to talk about the current employment market and where you can find some great opportunities. And we'll tie in, of course, LinkedIn, Indeed, and other websites. Bruce?
Yeah, the top three that we're just going to touch on this afternoon are the elevator pitch, the job description, and the resume, and how all three of those are very, very important tools. Glenn, you want to take us through this?
Absolutely. So when you think about the elevator pitch, it's one of the things that we used to always talk about, you hear about all the time. What is an elevator pitch? It's your mini commercial. It's sort of how you make that first connection. How you engage with somebody who doesn't know you for sometimes a very short period of time. Obviously, if you're in an elevator, I always say if you're in an elevator with myself, maybe even Bruce, I got a feeling you're going to be talking before you get off that elevator. I say break the ice. Now it's more of a virtual elevator pitch. We're connecting in this virtual environment. So what are you doing to make that connection with the person on the other side of the computer? I say break the ice, say hello, be cordial. Those things are critical. Tell us your story very quickly. One of the things that we've also coached on is, so how do you practice my elevator pitch or my virtual elevator pitch? Well, there's a couple ways you can do that. You can record yourself via Zoom, but also if you work with career services or maybe even friends, have them record you via their phone or your phone, if you will. So have them videoing you doing your virtual elevator pitch or your elevator pitch. And the reason I say that it helps you to better understand where you need to improve. And when you go back and you view this video, it's your baseline for improvement. Critical and important. You always got to practice. You never know when you're going to need your elevator pitch, and you never know when you give that pitch to the person in front of you, how they can impact and make a difference, not only sometimes in your life, but sometimes in your career. Tailor your resume to the job description. Oh my goodness, why? We talked about it early on. The job description is exactly what the company is looking for. This is what they've determined they need. Also part of the job description are the requirements, the answer to the quiz of what they need. And if you, in your previous employment history, on your on your resume, if you will, you have those requirements, tailor it to the job description. Make sure those requirements stand out. They're easy to find. Bullet point them. Talk about them in your cover letter. It's critical and important. The reason we post jobs is because this is what we need. The reason we post requirements is because this is the answer to what we need. This is what we're looking for. We always take it one step further. When you're tailoring your resume to the job you're interested in, think about it. Your resume is historical. It tells us what you have done at this point in your career. But if you don't tell us what you want to do with what you've done, then it's just information, historical information. And so what do I mean by that? If you want to take it one step further and tailor your resume, tell us what you want to do with what you've done. On the top of everybody's resume, I'm pretty confident, your name, contact information, your phone number. That's where we all start. Below that, what I teach and I coach is career objective. Be specific. If you know the position you're applying to and with what company, why not put the name of the position and the company in your career objective? If you're applying for a consumer lending position or maybe a new mortgage position with Randolph Brooks Federal Credit Union, put that in your career objective. Why? Because we're not guessing. We're not guessing what you want to do when you read your resume. I know many times you'll see summary, profile, education, summary of qualifications. Yes, it helps. But if you want to be specific and ask us to really keep reading your resume, then tell us what you want to do with what you've done. And so with that, many times you'll hear, hey, your resume needs to be just maybe one page, maybe two at the most. If you get my attention at the very top and I know what you want to do, I'm going to keep reading. Your cover letter is also important because it can capture what you've done and why you want to bring what you've done to the company. It doesn't have to be a whole page. It doesn't have to be 2 pages. It can be a good solid paragraph that says, this is what I've done. And also you may be able to provide nuggets of information that you've gathered from your research. Critical. 90% of the applications we receive at RBFCU, no cover letter. If we see it, we read it, we share it. Make yourself more competitive by including a cover letter. One of the things that Bruce and I have talked about many times, and it actually, it goes to a question that we had during our open session, if you will, and it's tell me what you want to do and why. So for those transitioning service members, those college students, those that are about to graduate, you've got to really think about that question because it's going to come up in an interview. Why do you want to pursue a career in mortgage? Why do you want to pursue a career in human resources or IT? Think about that question because it is going to come up. Why did you apply for this position? Many times we hear, well, I've always been interested in this area, or I have a passion for customer service, or I have a passion for project management, whatever it is. That's not enough. We need more. Where did that passion come from? Tell me the story of where you realize this is what you want to do. This is what you want to dedicate your life for. This is why you wanted to go to college. Tell me the story of where it all started. If you do that, we're having a conversation. And if you do that, you're not talking at me, you're talking with me. Yes, we now are having a conversation. I understand where you're coming from, and it's more believable. And it gives you an opportunity with the tone and inflection in the story to make that first positive, memorable impression that you're going to need as you continue the interview and as you're competing with other candidates. Tell me what you want to do. Leave that first positive, memorable impression. Bruce?
So Glenn's given you an initial outline for actions to get this ball started, and it's truly a process. So there's other things to take into consideration as you begin to apply for that job that fits you so well. Don't wait, but until you get the interview to use your network. Use it before the interview. You know, your network is your net worth, and each one of you should be building it every day. So reach out to folks that are already within the company. Look up your alumni pages on LinkedIn and find individuals that already work for the company. You know, connect with them, talk to them about the company. Where is it going? Where has it been? What's going on? You know, to just get further more information. That's what research the company means. You know, it's not about going to the website. It's about really understanding how you can fit in, how you will fit in, what value will you bring, and what solution are you going to bring in order to stimulate them to really think, okay, this person is somebody we need to talk to. Still today, even with all our virtuality, one of the first steps in recruiting is a phone interview. So be prepared for that. Once you launch that customized resume and cover letter, like we're talking about, then be ready, because somebody may reach out to you and want to do what's called a phone screen or a phone interview. So how does your voicemail sound? What does your outbound message have right now on your cell phone? If I called your cell phone and you were in class or in a meeting, what kind of message am I going to get? Is it going to be one of those canned, robotic, thank you for calling 555-1212? No, I hope not. If it is, time to fix it. We need to hear it's you. You know, as a recruiter for over 12 years, I would always call back if I got the student's voice the first time. I need to hear it's you with a brief, professional, upbeat voicemail, because there could be me calling you either to set up a phone interview or to hold a phone screen right then. So, you know, this process is very active. Once you've launched your documentation, you need to be ready for these next steps. And when you do get that interview, remember, it's okay to have plans and goals for the future. But right now, I just want to know if you're going to be able to handle the job I'm talking to you about. So interview for the position you're in the room for, not the next. Don't jump over. You know, Glenn is very good with that saying, don't jump over the position. Stay put. Talk about the value you're going to bring me now, the solutions you're going to bring me, how you're going to help me in this company, do whatever the job description is. And so it's a very cumulative process. And these are some further steps that we want you to take into consideration to really be that competitive candidate.
Absolutely. And Bruce, you know, as you were sharing the information, what I think about these steps is sometimes they are showstoppers before you really get more involved in the interview process. That phone screen, I can't tell you how many times I've reached out to not only just college students or veterans transitioning out of the military, or even professionals that say, hey, Glenn, you know, I'm not getting any traction. I'm looking for a new position, but I'm putting out my resume, applying for positions, and nobody's calling me back. I said, okay, well, let me take a look at your resume. I'm glad to help. I'm always, and I know Bruce is, we're always glad to help. And so we look at the resume, unclear of what they want to do. Yes, summary, not an objective, but then we call to give them their guidance. And many times it's the person you've called is not available. The person's phone mail is full, cannot take a new voicemail. Or a voicemail that's like, hi, I'm not here. You know what to do. The reason these are showstoppers is because 85% of the time, if it's not your voice, it's not engaging, it's not professional, it's not set up, hiring managers, recruiters, and they move on. They go to the next candidate. So it's a very simple thing to do, but it can also be a showstopper. Now, the interviewing for the position you are in the room for, I always call that the #1 most missed question in an interview. Never take your eye off what you want to do long-term, and we hope you achieve that. But if you're interviewing for a consumer lending position or a desktop support position, and I know the interns that I worked with at RBFC, they know where I'm going with this. It's interview for the job you are in the room for. Don't step over the role, step into it, embrace it. Tell me how you can contribute to the organization as you did in school and other companies. And so your contributions will be recognized. You'll have a chance to stay and grow. #1 most missed question. Don't step over the job you've applied to. Embrace it, step into it. Any good, solid candidate that we recruit and hire, We don't want them to stay in that role and responsibility forever. I think most employers understand that. We want them to be competitive as they grow. You never get your foot in the door. You get your foot on the path. You get your foot on the path. So with that, as you look forward and to be a more competitive candidate, we want you to be prepared for that video interview. Minimize your distraction. Check your audio, check your video, make sure that the lighting is right. Hopefully mine is as I share this information with you. But make sure it's right. Make sure you've practiced. Minimize distraction. Get rid of that fan that's behind you. If you need to, we talked about this earlier, blur your background. Have the focus be on you and your verbal resume that you will be sharing. It's critical, it's important. Maybe even take a few extra steps. Maybe have your resume available in a couple slides, if you will. Maybe have some of the community support activities that you've done. Maybe have questions already prepared, and I'll talk a little bit about that. But do things that add additional value to the interview, that tells the recruiter, not only am I'm interviewing, I'm truly interested, and I'm honoring this process because I really want the job. At the end of the interview, another way to do this is to say thank you. Say thank you. I will tell you, every thank you letter I have ever received, I still hold on to it. Many times it sits on my desk for weeks. Many times if somebody walks into the room, I'll share it with them. We've seen so many different types of thank you letters, but think about it. If we're going through the interview process, we're about to select a candidate and everybody is so competitive, what's going to help you stand out? It could be that thank you letter. And it gives you an opportunity to say, hey, I'm still interested. If you need any additional information, let me know. Bruce, you brought up earlier today, why not in that thank you letter have a business card with the school that you are attending, a business card that maybe has your QR code from LinkedIn on the back of it, so we know how we can continue to stay connected with you. Something that defines you in that thank you card. And Bruce brought that up earlier. I think it's a great example of how you can be more competitive. Always be prepared for interview questions. Absolutely. That's your chance to sell us on you. Usually comes at the very end of the interview. We're going to say, now, I've asked you all the questions I have. What questions do you have for me? And I know that Diana Burns, who has been part of this program, she knows that's my last question. And it's a chance for us to really learn a little bit more about the candidate. It's definitely an opportunity to see if they've done their research on the organization. And also, maybe they've paid attention during the interview. Tell me a little bit more about the company. Tell me about the culture. Why do you enjoy working for this organization? Can you tell me a little bit more about the next steps in the process? Always practice interviewing with friends and family. I prefer family. Why? They know when you want something. They know the tone in your voice when it matters. Most importantly, they will help you to sound real during the interview. Remember, let's have a conversation. If you're being real, we're having a conversation. These, I believe, are critical things that will help you to be that more competitive candidate. Bruce, can you tell us a little bit about now maybe where you can look for some new career opportunities?
Absolutely, where to look. So one of the first places, and certainly many of you may know this, is to use your own job board at your local university, wherever you're attending, whether it be a 2-year or 4-year. You know, career centers now are using very sophisticated technology. Many of you may be familiar with a product called Handshake. That's actually the name of the company that runs the platform for your job board. But that's going to be the first spot to look, because with these new technology products, universities are now able to congregate job openings, part-time, full-time, internships, all kinds, from all across the United States and even internationally. So first you look at that. And then a couple of the job boards that I think are really, really good. The one I use a lot when I'm coaching students is called Glassdoor for Students. So search on that, Glassdoor for Students. It is a very simple board where you open it up. It lets you put in any job title you want and any location you want. But one of the key aspects about it is when you start typing that job title, it will give you immediately a drop-down menu that will give you suggestions on job title. So one of the things that we are faced with these days is, okay, what do they call me? There's a lot of jobs out there now that weren't there 5 years ago. So you can start hunting by job title to get some definition on, okay, what is it they're going to call me for what I'd want to do? And you put that in there, you pick one, you pick a city and hit click, the green search bar, it will go out and sweep all the job boards, load them up, and provide you with valuable information such as the job itself. What's the job description? Okay, you heard us talk about that. Is that a job for you? Do you like what you see? Okay, good. Now look at the company. Is that a company you want to work for? Look at this, look at the location. Is that where you want to be? So it answers the 3 W's. What am I going to do? Where am I going to do it? And who am I going to do it for? And it gets you on the path of starting to establish your strategy for how do you build that resume and that cover letter and the documentation we're talking about. So Glassdoor for students, certainly Indeed is there, ZipRecruiter's there. There's a lot of different job boards you can look at. But the value is not only to find the position you want, but also to learn about the requirements of the position you desire so that you can either go out and get that experience, find those opportunities to build your resume with the skills, and then match it up against the job description that you're applying for in order to be a more competitive candidate.
Absolutely, Bruce. Thank you so much. And you mentioned Glassdoor. I always talk about the first, the number one missed question in an interview, but I think I need to share with you also the second most missed question in an interview, and Glassdoor will help you do that. Also salary.com. The question, if you are the number one candidate and the most competitive candidate, next question is going to be, what's your salary expectation? What are you looking to make? And so to Bruce's point, you have to do your research. I always share this, have a range, find a range, if you will, in your region for the position you're targeting, be negotiable, and then turn it back on the recruiter and hiring manager, to ask us what are along with the competitive candidate, this position is exactly what I'm looking for, but what are the benefits this position comes with? Because I'm going to tell you at Randolph Brooks, we want to tell you about the wonderful benefits that we offer: medical, dental, and vision from day one of employment. We have a wonderful 401k plan that contributes to your retirement. It's 2-for-1. You put in 4%, we're going to put in another 8% in on top of it. No one does that. The national average is only 3%. Also, if you can put in 6%, we're going to put in another 10% on top of that. Think about the impact of tax-deferred 401k contributions through your career. A health and wellness program that I'm very passionate about because it deals with the health and wellness of all employees. So again, do your research, be negotiable, ask them to sell you again on the benefits the organization offers. And so with that, I think the next slide deals with the current employment market. The current employment market is bright as things are starting to open up. At this time last year, unemployment again hovered between 12 to 13%. 1 year, a little bit longer than that, it actually was at 2.7 to 3.2% when the pandemic hit and companies were forced to close down for health issues, if you will. Then definitely it went up, and it's not easy, if you will. I've been part of the market and I've been displaced from an employer, but things are brighter. The unemployment rate just dropped to 6.5%. I do believe it's going to continue to drop, but you got to be ready. You got to be ready to interview as quickly as you can. You have to be ready to tell your story and to make sure that you are that most competitive candidate. Do your research, build your network. Bruce, I think we've given them some homework. Make sure your voicemail is up to date and it's you. Create a cover letter if you haven't already, but most importantly on that resume that you're submitting to the recruiter and hiring manager, please tell us what you want to do with what you've done. Don't let us guess. It's your career. It's your path. It's your story. Bruce?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Do we have any questions from the audience for our students that we can help either unmute yourself, please feel free. You know, this is a workshop, or we put them in the chat. You know, Glenn and I are very bullish about the future. As you can tell, we believe we're climbing out of this, and it's a good time, but it's still competitive. It's still, companies are challenged with getting the right people. So, you know, be strategic and be very specific, and, you know, you'll have success.
Absolutely. And so in closing, our guarantee to you is not that if you incorporate these ideas and these recommendations and this guidance that you're going to get that next job. We can't guarantee that that's going to happen. But I do guarantee if you work closely with your career service centers, employers within your area, if you will, are passionate about helping. If you do the mock interviews, resume reviews with family and friends, and you work closely with wonderful career professionals like Misty Frazier at Texas A&M San Antonio, our guarantee to you is that you will be a more competitive candidate for your next journey. And so we do wish you only the very best in achieving your academic and career goals. When you get there, don't stop. Keep your star rising. Take the training that the company offers. Continue your education, just like Andrea Calderon is doing here at Randolph Brooks. There are so many wonderful things in front of you. And with that, here's our contact information. Again, I'm just Glenn at RBFCU. I know that some of you have already reached out to me via LinkedIn. We definitely will connect. I'm open to talk with you about employment opportunities at RBFCU. I'm open to take a look at your resumes as well. My door is always open, and I know my good friend, Mr. Howard, is also open for that as well. Without any further questions, Misty, I'm going to stop sharing, and I'm going to turn it back over to you.
Okay, well, thank you so much for all the valuable information. What a day this has been, and what an awesome experience with everyone. Thank you all for still sticking in there with us. We know we went a little bit long, but it's such great insight. And so we just really appreciate all of your time today. I did send everyone a link to do a survey reflection, so to speak. It's important to think about what did you learn and how can you apply it. And let us know some feedback too. We do events like this every semester and love to know what your thoughts are on it too. So students, I sent those to you directly. So again, thank you so much, RBFCU. Y'all are rock stars in what you do, and we're just so appreciative. Bruce, your insights and connectivities to everything today just made this such an awesome experience and transition. So we're so grateful for everyone. And if we're done, we can wrap it up. We're good.
Yep, Misty, I just want to say thank you again to your team at Texas A&M San Antonio. And for students who will be viewing this recording at a later date, you see my contact information. Please do not hesitate to reach out to me. And hopefully it'll be a little easier so we can be back on campus soon, if you will. And I'm hoping at some point in the future we can host an event like this at the Randolph Brooks campus to really welcome you with open arms, or a hand bump, if you will, to the wonderful campus we offer. It has been a pleasure and an honor to work with all of you. And until the next time, Misty, enjoy your weekend. Thank you on behalf of Randolph Brooks, Johnny, Chandler, Jonathan, Mr. Howard. Thank you for joining us, and we look forward to the next event. Please be safe, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you.
Thank you, Misty.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great day.
Thank you, Rachel.
Thank you.